So you need to know two things about me to understand this story. Number one, I have a very bad habit of always thinking I'm right. And number two, as you just learned, I am likely a sociopath who regrets very little in my life, and the thought of a next time or a do-over just doesn't appeal to me. Except there was this one time. It was March of 2018, and I was at my daughter's indoor soccer practice in a very small gym when a mom on the team started to beat up her son. I was sitting very close to them. And aside from the dads who were there to actually coach the girls on the team, I was the only other adult in the room. Now, it had started as a verbal situation that slowly escalated. But once it turned physical, it got bad really, really fast. And I had heard that some people with neurodivergent children sometimes have to subdue them in serious situations. And so I was texting a friend who has experience with that, and what she was describing to me bore no resemblance to what I was seeing. It reached the apex when the boy was splayed out on the floor. The mom was sitting on his back. She had her arm wrapped around his neck, and he said he couldn't breathe. And I looked over, and I said to her, "Can I help you?" And she dismissed me. And she was likely as surprised by my question as I was by her behavior. Essentially, I was just offered to help a woman who was beating up her son. But if you've never seen something like that up close, you try to convince yourself that's not what you're seeing, because how could that be what you're seeing? So I was sort of frozen. I was the person closest to the altercation. Some of the dads had started to take notice. My 5-year-old son had definitely taken notice, and some of the girls playing soccer in the gym had taken notice. And I was so close and so frozen that I didn't know what to do. But then one of the dads came over and took my son to the other side of the gym, and another one of the dads came over and said, "You know, I can take your daughter home after practice if you two need to leave," which is what ended up happening. That night I got in the car with my kids, and they asked me to explain what they saw, and I didn't know what I saw. I mean, was it child abuse? Was it a very bad night? Was there a difference? Was it an isolated event? Did that matter? I didn't know what to say to my kids. And the next day at work, I was so distracted and I kept crying for no apparent reason, and I thought I have to do something. So I emailed the mom and I said, "Looks like last night it was a really rough night. Does your family need anything?" And she wrote back and thanked me for reaching out and said it was a rough night and that her son just wouldn't stop using his electronics and she needed to figure some things out. And so I wrote back and offered some resources, and I thought, here's the deal. Either she's going to take me up on the offer of resources that I'm willing to provide, or she's going to know that I'm not going to pretend that I didn't see what I saw. And then 2 weeks later, she emailed me and asked me if I called Child Protective Services on her. And I hadn't. But someone had. Although the coaches were mandatory reporters, they weren't close enough to see what had happened that night, but enough had gotten back to them that they made the mandatory reporting. There was an investigation. CPS determined that the allegations were unfounded, and the minute the investigation was closed, I got an expletive-laced email from the father of the boy telling me to watch my ass and that false allegations come back to bite you. Also, mind your own fucking business. That's started the next part of this mess that involved police, the safety of my children, the safety of my family, the potential loss of my livelihood. And it was for the first time in a very long time that I remember thinking, was reaching out the right thing? Would I do it the next time? And I came to the conclusion that the only thing I would have changed is I would have asked the boy if he needed help and not his mom.